look who looks like a kindergarten teacher.
Do I really
You just
look
need your
like
little apple pen.
Do I
Your
really
little-
look like a kindergarten teacher?
Come on, kids, class.
My little crocheted shirt.
I
my
kind of
tight
like
little
it.
collar.
It's going to also lead to a little pickle tickle later.
No, it's not.
Dang.
No, it's
We
not.
tried. I'm excited. I've been thinking about our friend Rick here, producer Rick, because last week he was like, I have some questions for you guys. And remember I said, save them,
Oh, he didn't send them to us, though.
but I told him not to.
No, I thought you told him, like, send them to us, like,
Nope,
an hour
nope.
before.
I
I'm,
want
like,
'em hot.
checking my
I
text
want 'em hot.
messages now.
We pride ourselves in being real. We pride ourselves in being honest here on this beautiful podcast.
I know it just feels a little unfair because you're a much quicker thinker than I am.
I'm very quick.
Very
I do want to
quick.
give it up for Aztec Chevrolet, now Coastal Bend Auto Group. So make sure that you give them a listen or give them a shot to earn your business. I have been told now that they will match any price in Texas. You heard that correctly. They will match any price in Texas and make it work for you. Aztec Chevrolet and Coastal Bend Auto Group. Okay.
Nice.
All right, Rick, are you ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not groundbreaking. It's just a couple quick questions. All right, first one. Steve.
This
have you
feels
ever
so
screwed
weird.
up-
It feels like rapid fire. I'm like, wait, we're not even going to talk about the week? Like, I don't know. How did Ohio go? You were in Ohio. No, we're jumping right into
Rick's questions. We're going to
Okay.
get into his bullshit.
Okay.
Yeah. Steve, when you're on stage, have you ever messed up a joke, and how do you recover when you do it?
Oh, I messed up, Joe.
I was going to
Constantly.
say, you just like call it out when you've messed it up, don't you?
Well, yeah, but I mean, usually I'm within the realm, so the audience doesn't know that I screwed up. Mm-hmm. I have had moments where I laugh,
Yeah.
There have been several moments where instead of saying my wife, I'll say my mom.
Oh,
You know?
that's weird. I've never seen you
But
do that
it
before.
accidentally gets a laugh anyway because they're like, oh,
Because it's weird?
subconsciously-
Yeah.
Well, no, not that it's weird that you act like my mom. And you treat me like you're a mother.
Oh.
Don't do this. Don't do that. Why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? Check with me first. I want to make sure. So, but yes, there have been moments, and Brian and I talk about it all the time. Brian Hart, writer Brian, we talk about it all the time where there are times where I didn't have the best set.
Yeah.
I'm behind. I messed up jokes. I messed up the order. And then I walk off stage and I go, golly, man, like I fucked that up. But I'm good enough now that the audience doesn't know, that I screwed up.
Yeah.
The audience doesn't know that I messed up.
They still laughed and had
It was still a
time.
great show.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah, man, I mean, all the time. And I love I like the happy accidents. There are times, and I can't wait to show Brian this week, I added something to this set that was an accident. Like the audience caught that it was funny. I didn't.
What do you mean? What was it?
It's hard to talk about, but I mean, I talk
without
about
telling the whole bit.
Well, no, but I talk about saying at one point in the act, I go, "She's asleep now. Can we go to the guest bedroom?" Right. And then I go, I have a really cool wife. Sometimes she's like, okay, but real quick. And I'm like, well, it was always going to be real quick. There was never another plan. Right. Well, later on, when I'm talking about family picture, I go, we've been taking these family pictures now since my son was a baby. And every year we've taken them, my wife takes those pictures and she puts them in the hallway. And I go, but I don't see that hallway much because it's in the guest bedroom. It's on the way to the guest bedroom. The audience started laughing.
Oh.
Because
Yeah.
I say, let's go have sex in the guest bedroom. Then later on I go, I
That
don't
never
see that
happened,
hallway
yeah.
often. I didn't mean it to be funny, but then the light bulb went off where I was like, oh yeah, that is really funny to go, I don't see that
Smart,
hallway often.
yeah.
I don't see that hallway much.
It's
right?
like a subtle callback as opposed to like an obvious callback. Yeah, that's awesome. That's
So,
awesome.
But it was one of those happy accidents, Rick, where I stumbled across something that was really funny that I wasn't trying to be funny. I was trying to be descriptive.
Yeah.
And it turned
Did
out
it
to
catch
be...
you off guard when they laughed?
Inside it did, right? Inside of me it did, but I didn't let them know.
Why are you laughing?
It was one of those, I meant to do that, right? Like, of course I did that. I'm such a good comedian. But in the description, boom, I made a mistake. I found a laugh. So those are my favorite moments, Rick, where they're the discovery moments, you know. Crafting a set is my favorite because there are so many accidents throughout, messing up lines, messing up jokes.
In the early stages,
early stages of developing an act and really trying to find the verbiage and the things I want to say and how I want to say them and going through that process, I enjoy it. Like that's my favorite part of stand-up is when I'm creating the set. Right now we're at the point where we're now perfecting the set. Not my favorite part.
Yeah.
Until it becomes fun again when Brian then comes in, and then Brian's that fucker puts me on my toes, and he's like, oh, well, this line needs to be here, change it, and well, here's a joke here.
Try it this way.
Yeah. Or sometimes Brian gives me a joke that I don't think is funny. But I trust Brian's instincts, and I trust Brian as a writer. I trust Brian as a person. I trust Brian and as somebody that knows my brand. So I go, okay, well, even though I personally right now don't think it's funny, I'm still going to do it.
Try it and see if it flips or flops.
And I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brian, 60-40, he's right. 60% of the time, it's like, you fucker, like, it was funny.
Yeah.
40%, and it's funny, the 40% is Brian and I know immediately. Like, immediately. Like, I'll walk off stage and he's like, yeah, that line? Yeah, don't. Just, yeah. Hey, we tried. You know, but the 60%, I would say it's 35% home run, and then another 25% of there's something there. Let's not give up on it.
Yeah.
Right? So those are the fun times for me on stage is when I'm really creating and you know, there is there's something to be said about I'm a master of my craft. I'm not saying I'm a master of my craft. What I am saying is that
I would.
Well, thank you. But I try very hard to be a master at my craft. Because when I did Grandpa Joe's Son, which was 12 years in the works of me doing stand-up, I had 12 years to create that set. And I look back at that set and I go, gosh, I did this wrong. I did that wrong. I should have said this. I should have said that. Why didn't I say it like this? I clearly did not take it as serious as I should have.
Yeah.
Then Relatable came around, right? And I was like, okay, the comedians that were around me at that time were Jesus Trejo, Kyle Ray, who no longer does stand-up. Look up Jesus, by the way. Then I was like, okay, guys, like I really need your help. I need you to look for jokes that maybe sound like other people's jokes so we can get rid of them. I need you to come up with ideas and help me write. So we got a little more serious, right? And Relatable came out. And again, I took a step back and I go, gosh, I really did not treat it like I should have. You know, in Relatable, if you watch Relatable on YouTube, there's a lot of, you know, and it's like, God, it didn't look pro.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the order and I'm like, golly, I should have said this over here. I should have done that over there. So then after Relatable was when we got, what was after that one? Till Death? Uh-huh. Till Death is when we got serious, right? Yeah. And that's when I made the phone call to Brian. And Brian came in and man, we really, really made an effort to study it, get into it, dissect it, get really detailed. And even then, I walked, and Brian and I were proud of it. I mean, no doubt about it. We were like, hey, man, we did work. We really, you know, and you remember, you were there directing, our co-directing at Till Death, where there was a moment where Brian had his list, and we were checking things off. And we had several pickups on that one.
Yeah.
Where Brian's like, hang on, you said this wrong, you said that wrong, change this, change that. And I was more proud of Till Death. Right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, man, we really put out a really great special.
Yeah.
But it was because I tried to be a master of my craft. And then after that was I Speak Wife. Again, that one was tough because that was still COVID-y.
Yeah.
So we didn't have boots on the ground.
Yeah.
I didn't have Brian with me. Brian and I were not in the clubs together. We were not really digging.
I just and even separately of that, like when I think of the specials, because that one was filmed outdoors, there's just something that it's another added like wild card in the mix. And I think we're then worried about so many other things that we can't control at the last minute, that it makes it tricky too.
Well, but outdoors doesn't ever feel warm. It doesn't ever feel cozy.
It feels so big.
Yeah, it doesn't feel cozy, you know. And then this last one, Simple Man, gosh, we went through it and went through it and went through it and really tried to look at every word, every angle, every F-bomb, you know, where Brian was like, hey, you don't need it here, and fix this and fix that and turn this around. And we actually, for those of you out there that don't know, Brian and Renae both, and correct me if I'm wrong, were like, this doesn't go here. This goes over here. And we literally rewrote the entire order.
We swapped the order, and you committed to that new order for a couple of weeks, I think, or I for
almost
some reason
6 weeks
longer.
Because it was almost 6 weeks because then Brian and I caught back up in Ontario, and I said, Brian, I'm going to do it one more time. Look at it.
Yeah.
You know, and Brian goes, switch it back.
I felt for you because I mean you were like really trying to commit, and that's why I think after watching the process this last time, I do think that you are a master of your craft, because to be able to implement a note that Brian gives you and immediately change it and try it on stage the very next show. I mean, to remember where all those changes are in the set, implement them.
I will say that I think, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
It's just to me that is a talent.
Well, I mean, I will share this with people out there. I really believe that part of the secret to my success is my willingness to change and grow. My willingness to trust people around me, to trust, Brian's talent, your talent, and to adapt, right? And, I'm not going to name any names because I've had a million opening acts, so no matter what, people are not going to be able to guess who I'm talking about. But I would say 95, and Timmy and I always look at each other and laugh on the road, 95 to 98% of comics are not willing to adjust, and they're not willing to listen to somebody else. And I think that is their failure. Yeah. They are not willing to adjust and change. I've had opening acts give me notes, and I take those notes because I respect them as comedians, and they wouldn't be on the road with me if I didn't respect them as comedians. I take their notes, I do them. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And then I give that same person a note, and they refuse to take it, to the point where I'm like, wait a minute, I'm where you want to be. I'm doing theaters. I'm selling out clubs. You're my opening act. And you're arguing with me on my notes? You're a crazy person. And
Try it, see if it works.
And then they wake up 2 years later and go, man, I'm in the same spot I was 2 years ago. Hello?
Yeah.
So I think my adaptability, I think my willingness to grow and to change and to be better, and even with the podcast, I take notes, I read notes, and I take them to heart.
Yeah.
And I adjust, and I go, okay, the Gabriel Iglesias interview, I had several notes where they were like, let him talk. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me watch it. Let me see what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And let me see where or why they felt that way.
Well, that one was hard because I felt like one of the notes was like, and I think maybe they've given it, I think they gave it on the Gabriel episode, but one of them was that you always sort of relate it back to you, and you'll take that story and then my experience is this, but it's like, that's how you connect in a conversation, right? Like normally when you're having a conversation in real life, you take what someone's saying and then you relate it back to you. And that's like a connective thread between the two of you and it continues the conversation. So that note, I was like, well, how are you supposed to handle that? I don't know.
Well, and that is a self-centered thing. And for people to understand, to want to go on stage, you have to be a little bit self-centered.
Yeah.
And I do my best not to be, and I do my best to put myself in other people's shoes, and but my point is that not only did I get those notes, I went back and watched it, studied it, saw moments where I could have been better, right? So I will apply that hopefully moving forward, I try.
Yeah.
You know. Next question, Rick.
Do you ever, while you're in the middle of a joke, think about other things? Is your mind ever wandering?
Oh, dude, I I am not kidding you. I can do my act, and sometimes I'm 4 or 5 jokes ahead. It depends. It depends where my head's at, right? Sometimes I'm 4 or 5 jokes ahead, or sometimes I'm completely somewhere else while I'm doing my act. There's things that are happening in the for example, Cincinnati. This one woman to my right would not shut up. So while I'm doing my act, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to do here? Right? And I'm listening. She's engaged and she loves me and she's all about it. She's the commentator. That's the commentator heckler.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, we totally do that, right, babe? We did. What was it? 3 weeks ago, we did. You know, and so she's into it, but she doesn't, right?
Yeah.
And as she's talking, a woman across in the same table goes, "Can you shh?" But I'm watching all this go down while I'm doing my act.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm able to multitask in my head as I'm on stage, and I'm also solving problems, right? And even when we're filming, you know, when you guys are like, you know, Rick and you will come up to me and go, "This is where your water goes, right? This is where you need to stand. You can't go past this. You can't go past that. Don't go this deep." So I'm also doing that when I'm filming, where I'm like, okay, my water bottle goes there. Oh, then you guys are like, you know, make sure that the Yeti is facing the same way every time, or make sure that we can't see the Yeti.
Yeah.
So I'm taking a sip and I'm making sure, and I'm trying to make it look like I'm not focused on that while I'm doing my act. So I am able to multitask in my head while I'm doing my act, which it goes back to why I'm so excited when I'm creating an act. Because when I'm creating an act and I'm telling the story in my head, I'm like, oh, like it'll come to me. I can say this here. While I'm doing it, my brain will go, ooh, say this, right? And then I'm like, bang.
Yeah.
And then, oh man, that worked. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, sweet. And then I'm going through the act and, you know, so I'm always multitasking on stage. The sad part is, and I will admit it, my worst and most frustrating times are when I go into autopilot. When I'm in autopilot and I'm just doing the act.
Yeah.
I'm not into it. I don't believe it.
It's not alive anymore.
It's not in my heart because of whatever. I'm tired. Maybe me and you had something happen at home. I miss the kids. I'm thinking about my flight home. You know, the club, something happened at the club, or the sound's not working. You know, something, and I go into autopilot, and that is the rare times that my time on stage I'm not enjoying. Right, where I walk off and I'm like, I got nothing out of that. Not only did I leave my family, not only am I tired, not only am I on the road, the 1 hour I get on stage that I truly, truly enjoy,
yeah,
I didn't get it.
And you know what? I think that's why when you moved to theaters and, you know, they were like, I don't know if you can do meet and greets anymore. I just feel like the interactions in the meet and greets really bring you something, especially on the days like that when you and I are going through something, or you really miss the kids. When people come up to you afterwards and you get that direct feedback from them that even though you didn't feel good on stage, they really got something out of it, then it makes you feel like it's worth it.
Well, and absolutely. And right now, because I have to start creating the next act, right? Because I've already put this together. Step 2 the next step is me and Brian got to dig in, right? Then we're going to set a date to film, hopefully. Then we're going to perfect it. But I already know, okay, I have 3 months. I got to start having something once I film to start touring with. So those are the times that I have a drink on stage and I go, let's ask questions. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping to get something out of those questions. A story, something. Mm-hmm. What do y'all fight about as a couple, right? And I'm just mining, right? I'm just looking for something. But
it's your test group?
Yeah, it's my test group. And I think they enjoy it. I think that the crowd enjoys it, that I'm hanging out extra and just talking. And and hanging out with them, having a drink. But I'm mining and I'm looking for those moments because, again, I'm on my toes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to answer something. I'm ready to tell a story. I'm ready to get into it so that at least I have something so that when we film, I'm giving the audience all brand new material.
Yeah.
Right? So, next question, sir.
All right, this is a 3-parter, and it's for both of you. All right. Do you have a moment where you went to yourself, I'm being a good parent? And then conversely, do you have one where you're like, oh, that was bad parenting? And then to follow up is there a moment where you go, oh, I'm exactly like my parents?
Oh gosh, all 3 of those.
Yeah.
I try very hard to be a good parent. I try to think of all the angles. I try to think of what am I doing? How are they reacting? How do I prepare my children for the future? Garrett, I have a more success rate of okay. I was just
about to say the same thing.
I'm doing the right thing. I have the strength to discipline. I have the strength to do the right things, and there are times where, my goal with Garrett too is I don't want Garrett to weigh his success on my approval.
Oh, but I think he does so much.
But that's on him.
Yeah.
I try not to make, even when he fails, I tell him I'm proud of him.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to just tell him I'm proud of him when he succeeds, even when he fails. And I say, you handled that failure great. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
Right. So there are moments where I'm like, man, I'm really doing a good job here, and Garrett
makes you feel like you're doing things right sometimes, and with Delilah, you just feel like you're doing them wrong all the time.
with Delilah, it's just different for me, and that's where I need you to step it up.
And I just said, I feel like I'm doing it wrong all the time.
Because, dude, she had just yelled at Renae on the way back from the baseball tournament.
And then you go in the convenience store and she comes out with a little stuffed animal. And I'm like, did you really just give her a toy after she spoke to me that way?
But let me tell you how she did it.
Oh, please tell me.
She came up to me. She goes, Daddy, can I show you something? And she put her little hand out. Come here, Daddy. Let me show you something, right? So I go, okay. I grab her little hand, and she takes me over there in these little stuffies. And she goes, how cute are these? And I go, oh, they're really cute, Mama.
They're way cuter than how you looked when you yelled at your mother.
And she goes, can I have one? And I was like, yes. And I want candy too. I said, pick out a candy. It's just different. It is the way she looks at me, the way she talks to me.
And you already snuck her candy earlier that day when you went to the concession stand.
The way she holds me, the way she looks at me. It's just, it is different.
Yes, but she should not have gotten a stuffed animal after she just yelled at me.
But when we went to Huntsville, that whole weekend was a no weekend because I knew it was going to be hard for me.
Yeah.
And I knew that at some point
you're going to have to tell this child no.
I have to give her no's as well, right?
Yeah.
And she lost her shit, and I hate you, Daddy, and I'm your princess, and you said princesses can have everything. It was debilitating
for her. You know what she came home and told Betty? She told Betty, she goes, he told me no. He never tells me no. That's why she lost her shit.
I have a feeling that you've had a conversation with Betty like that too, where you're like, Steve told me no. Can you believe it? I'm going to do it anyway, but he did tell me no. I don't give a fuck, but I'm doing it anyway. How dare he tell me no?
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth.
And for me, my dad suffers severely from PTSD. My dad would literally blow a lid and lose his shit. And there are moments where I've done that, not quite to that extent. But I'm like, golly, man, like that was not the way to handle it. And I just go apologize.
Yeah.
I sit him down and I tell him I should not have handled it that way. I should not have been that way. And for that, I apologize. I was not myself, and I should not have blown up, and I should have been more patient with you, and he forgives me. And Rick, I do spend a lot of time, probably once a week or at least once a month, I know for sure, where I go, hey, I want you to know, son, that I'm doing my best and that I'm probably going to fail a lot, but it's not because I want to fail or I want to do the wrong thing. I am trying to do my best, son. And I've never been a father before. I've never had a 9-year-old before. And I'm literally doing the very best I think I can. So please talk to me if I do something that is not okay to you.
Yeah.
You know, and it's funny because he'll call me, Dad, can I talk to you? And I'm like, yeah, buddy. And we sit down. And he's like, you know, Dad, the way you did this or the way you did that, or, you know, you hurt my feelings when you did this. And we have a real conversation. I apologize. Because I do treat my kids like people.
Yeah.
I don't treat them like I own them. I don't treat them like they're supposed to do everything and what I tell them to do. And I just treat them like people. So, I mean, I'm doing my best. But again, like I said right there, I've never had a 4-year-old daughter before. I've never had a 9-year-old son before.
Yeah. Right?
I haven't done this before. So I'm doing the best I can.
Yeah.
Now your turn to answer.
No, I was just Garrett is interesting because with Garrett, you can have a conversation and you feel like he's open to it and it clicks and he will kind of trust you and take you at your word. And so because of that, you feel like, okay, I'm talking to him, we're having conversations, we're doing good. But Delilah is so strong-willed. That girl needs natural consequences. I just say I'm guiding the spirit. Because she is her own little ball of energy, and girl's gonna be who she's gonna be. Why are you? What is that smirk about, Steve Trevino?
Because you're the same, dude. I don't know what it is with female energy, but holy shit, dude. Like with Garrett, Renae will have patience, and Garrett will wear her out, and Renae will have patience. With Delilah, it's like, shit escalates fucking quick.
No, it does not.
Oh,
it
bullshit.
Does not.
Dude, last night I thought they were physically fighting.
No, you did not.
I'm in Garrett's room.
No, we are not physically fighting.
And I hear, why? And Renee's like, get in here. I'm not reading to you. You did this to you. And then I hear bang, boom. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on over there? Are they fist fighting? Like, shit.
No.
So I go in there, and then Renee's like, tell her, I'm not putting up with her shit. And look at her. And then Delilah's on the toilet crying, I just want to read a book. And I'm like, what happened in here? Pure fucking chaos. Pure chaos. It is pure. I'm tired, Renae. I'm tired. God, can I be tired? And then Delilah's like,
I give her consequences.
Chaos, bro.
And I'd been and last night in particular, I had been explaining to her, Delilah, if we don't go do this, right? Because I can't boss her around. She's going to do what she wants to do. But I have to let her know, Delilah, if we don't start brushing our teeth right now, we're not going to have time to read a book.
Oh my God, does that sound like things I tell you?
To read a book, she's going to lose her shit.
Does that sound like things I tell you?
What do you mean?
Where I'm like, Renae, if we want to do this, we got to get moving, and you're not going to be able to do it, and you're going to lose your shit if we don't get to do it. It is.
You said I talk to you like I'm your mom?
I'm just telling you that you have met yourself, and you're realizing you don't fucking like yourself.
No. That's not true.
Female energy, Rick. Female energy. And I wish I could talk to Brian about it. I wish I could talk to...
no, I think they're
Timmy
different. Garrett did not need the natural consequences.
No.
Garrett would hear what you said. He believed
Delilah
you.
hears what I
and
said.
he would change his course. Delilah needs natural consequences.
Delilah listens to me. Delilah and I have great conversations.
You never tell her no. She shouted at me. She should have been disciplined. And instead of stepping in, you took her into the store and you bought her a kitty.
No, I didn't discipline because I would have had to discipline both of you. Because both of you have fucking attitude problems. And the attitude is bad between both of you. You're doing something that she reacts to.
She yelled at me because we made a pit stop and I told her to go to the restroom, that she had to go to the restroom. We were all taking a break. And then when she yelled at me, I said, okay, well, when we have to pull over on the side of the road and you have to pee on the side of the road, I am not helping you. Then you will have to figure it out. Because she doesn't really like peeing on the side of the road. But then I'll let her deal with taking her shoes off and her clothes off because she's so particular and she can natural consequences. If you don't want to go to the bathroom now, we'll pull over on the side of the road and you can figure it the fuck out on your own.
And what's wrong with that?
That's what I'm saying. But that's
what I mean. Why force her to go to the restroom when she doesn't feel like going? She doesn't need to go.
Well, that's what ended up happening. Except that she did because she sharted in her panties. So I knew it. Mama's intuition.
But she would have done it on her own if you would have just walked in with her, let her shop a little, maybe get her a stuffy, and then she would have been like, you know what? I got to go to the restroom. It's the fact that you are so bossy, and then she's bossy, and she's like, I'm not going to let you boss me around, even if I shit myself. I'm not going to let you boss me around. So there's a power struggle. There's a definite power struggle because with me, dude, literally yesterday we got to horseback riding, right?
Yeah.
We got to horseback riding, and I said, all right, baby, stand up, because I put the seat up, and I start changing her into her little cowboy boots and her little jeans, and she goes, Daddy, I need to potty. And I go, great. I put her down, and she went over there, and by the way, I didn't go over there and hold her hand. I just let her go do it. She couldn't open the porta potty door, and I just watched her struggle for a little bit, and then she goes, Daddy, can I have help? I'm like, yep, and I opened it up, and then she goes, privacy, and I let her in there. And she did her thing. I didn't get there and go, you're going to pee. As soon as we get there, you're going to pee. And I don't care. You're getting out and you're going to pee. I didn't do that to her. I let her make her own decisions and let her be her own person. Zero problems yesterday. And when you got home, where was she last night? Where was she?
In the bathtub when I get home with Garrett from baseball.
Zero tears. Zero tears. Zero fighting. Because I didn't go, get in the bathtub now.
Okay, well, can I make a suggestion then? Let's swap for a little bit, and I do more of the independent 8-9-year-old boy, and you do more with Delilah, so that there are more opportunities when you have to discipline her.
I don't have to discipline her. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I don't have to. If I let her be her own person, and I make suggestions and not boss her around, she does her shit.
Okay.
Just saying. Next question.
Do you guys ever have, like, when you talk to your kids, do you guys have a united front, or is there ever a time where you disagree in front of the kids?
We don't disagree in front of the kids. We are a united front.
If we do, we call each other out on it,
which is rare. It's very rare that we're because we're having discussions already about why and what we're doing before we do it. And we deal with the differing opinions amongst ourselves, which usually ends up in a fight.
Today, while we were showering to get ready for the podcast, we were talking about something with Garrett and baseball, and because we had two different thoughts, and so we just worked through why you think what you do and why I think what I do.
But I mean, there are times where, Renae will say something to the kids, and I disagree. And I back her up, and then I pull her aside, and I'm like, "Hey, dude, like, maybe that wasn't the way, or whatever." And I think with our kids, we are definitely much more open to discussion and open to change when we're having discussions about our kids. When we have arguments about ourselves and what we want to do for our personal self, those are the arguments that are the discussions that get a little more heated. But for the most part, when it comes to the kids, we're pretty good about being a united front. We're pretty good at now there are two different philosophies.
Yeah.
It's the same goal, but it's two different philosophies.
The one that was new is that we're starting to have, because Garrett's older and now he's like asking, is there was an instance at the airport and you were rude to someone and it made it uncomfortable, and Garrett noticed it and Garrett asked me about it, and I just explained that we're tired, we've been traveling, we're grumpy, and acknowledged that no, that's not the way you're supposed to behave, but we make a mistake and we move on. And he said, okay, are you going to talk to Dad about it? And I said,
well, no, but I am also the type of, like, I am not afraid to speak up. Like, if you're going to give me attitude, I'm going to give that attitude back. If you're going to be sweet and nice to me, I'm going to be nice back. Now, if you're going to give me attitude, I'm going to try to be nice. And then if the attitude continues, I'll just give it back. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not one of these people that goes, oh my God, I'll tell them, you're rude. You know, you've heard me do it before, where I'm like, no, you're being rude and you're disrespectful, and I will tell them. Like, I don't give a fuck, because I think a lot of people are afraid to speak up, and that's why people get away with so much rudeness.
Yeah.
Because they can be rude and people just go, oh.
Yeah. My point with being is now Garrett is getting to the age where he will call you or I out on our shit, but to the other parent. And then how do we handle that? You know?
Right. But two different philosophies talking about that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, just that, like, you know, for a second, it caught me by surprise for a second, because I don't want to throw you under the bus, but I also need to, you know, we're supposed to set an example for our children, and we're not perfect. Like, sometimes we make mistakes, you know? So explaining that to him, but also letting him know, no, that behavior's not okay. And yes, your dad knows. We'll have a conversation about it, you know?
For example, this week or yesterday, Garrett is a little behind on his accelerated reader. My conversations with Garrett are always, you know what you need to do, and as long as you're getting it done, you will not hear from me, right? That's my attitude. My attitude is, do what you're supposed to do. You're not dumb. You know what you're supposed to do. Get it done. Renee's philosophy is now. Do it now. So Renee brought it to my attention yesterday that he is behind on accelerated reader. So last night I said, hey, why does mom tell me that you're behind on your accelerated reader? I said, you know better. And he goes, Dad, I can do it. And then he goes, well, I think I can do it. And I said, well, you better do it. I said, because if you don't do it, there's going to be consequences.
Yeah.
I said, and I'm sorry, you know what you need to do this week, and it better get done. And I'm not going to give you a hard time about it. I'm just letting you know, get it done. If it doesn't happen, then the consequences are coming. And then he goes, little shit. He goes, whoa, what are the consequences? Like he wants to weigh it out. Like, hey, maybe this is worth it. Right? And I said, none of your business. I said, but I will figure it out. And there will be consequences.
But that's like a fear tactic. My tactic is.
I said, son, I said, you are a man. You know what you're supposed to do. And I go, and if you had a job and you didn't do your job, you would get written up or you would get fired.
Yeah.
I said, so that is your consequences in the real life. Here, you're going to have consequences from me.
Well, I just did the math with him in the car because I had a, you know, I knew we hadn't been reading that much. I don't know. But I had a conversation with him in the car and I was like, how many more points do you need? And I pointed out that we're a week away or whatever from the goal. And I was like, so let's break it. Like, let's do the reverse math, you know?
You saw that.
Yeah. I was like, let's do the reverse math, you know? And so once he did the reverse math and how many books that is, even if they're quick little reads, I think he realized like.
It's a lot.
It was a lot.
With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, Old Salt Coffee, one of the most delicious coffees out there. Veteran owned and veteran operated. That's right. Trevino 10 gets you a discount, and it is absolutely delicious. Once you get that Old Salt Coffee, you will not want any other coffee. Next question.
I think that was pretty much it.
Brian, question.
Wait. I want to know, where did the questions come from, Rick? Were those like comments that from viewers, or were they like
are genuinely like you were interested?
I'm genuinely interested because I'm going through a couple things with our kids on that stuff.
Oh,
wanted your opinions on it.
Were you guys not on the same page?
No. I mean little things, even like the kids going to spend the night. Sometimes we're not on the same page, but we have to back each other up.
Yeah, the spend the night thing, man, I'm so uncomfortable with that. And it's such a hard thing because, you know, unfortunately we live in a world where you just can't trust people. You can't. You know, and you see the news and you hear these guys and these sleepovers that have gone bad because the dad's a freaking pervert or the mom decides to let the kids get drunk, or, you know, it's just tough to do a sleepover because it's just a tough thing, and there's a little bit of a woohoo, let's go nuts kind of attitude that's kind of scary. And for daughters, I don't think I'll ever let Delilah sleep over
Well, I was gonna say what's hard is that Garrett doesn't like them. Garrett doesn't really want to do them. He doesn't ask. So like,
which helps.
We really haven't had to confront that issue face on. But Delilah already doesn't even stay in her own bed all night and is already asking for sleepovers. So that one's gonna be trickier to navigate.
I'll tell you this story that I had to be dad and I had to be a grown man. I forget where we were. I was walking to the club to go to the show. And these girls must have been maybe 15, maybe. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, guys, what's up? And what's your name? And I go, girls, where are your parents? And immediately they were like, what? They're in the movies. We're going to the movies. And I go, do not act like that with strangers. Do not. And they were like, oh, okay. But it was one of those moments where you act like that with the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And the wrong fucking sleazeball. And so immediately my protective dad feelings went on of, you girls are being flirtatious. You girls are being silly. You don't know you are.
Yeah.
But the wrong guy might take that as, oh, these girls like me. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was overly friendly and overly flirtatious. And I had to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Because, we do know that, human trafficking is a real thing.
Yeah.
It's real. Yeah. So I am very protective of my daughter when it comes to, her spending the night or her even going to, because I think what happened was the restroom was outside of the building. And I think the girls had gone to the restroom, these two girls, and then they were coming back.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, I would escort my daughter.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Yeah. Well, Rick, when you're talking about the asking for things and parents being on the same page, one thing that I thought parents of teenagers told us that I thought was a great idea is if you have a request, you have to text both parents at the same time.
Oh, yeah. We had, there was a little sneakiness going on where, they would text dad and dad didn't know that mom didn't know. And then dad's saying yes, and then mom's like, well, I didn't know anything about it.
So if you want to stay 30 minutes later, you have to ask both of us. You text both of us. If you want to have a sleepover at such and such's house, you have to text both of us.
But, I'm also fortunate enough to know a Texas Ranger. I'm fortunate enough to know a lot of police.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate enough to know juvenile probation officers. And when they come to you and they tell you what's going on out there that we don't see, it is scary.
Yeah.
It is scary. The fentanyl, my friend who's a juvenile probation officer, he goes, we lose one a month to fentanyl. One a month. And he goes, I'm talking about 13-year-olds. I'm talking about 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds. He goes, we lose one a month. He goes, and I'll get them in probation. And I see when they come back to me and they're high, and I tell them, you're not going to make it to next month. There's probably fentanyl in your drugs, and you're not going to make it till next month. And then sure enough, within a month or 2 months, he's like, they don't make it. When my Texas Ranger friend comes to me and says, hey, Steve, human trafficking these past 4 years has gone up by 60%. He goes, and not only that, it's gone up almost 80% for boys. Right? I have those numbers. I have guys that tell me, hey, this is real shit.
Yeah.
Take care of your kids.
Yeah.
Right? And be on it. And I think sometimes, we live in our cul-de-sac and we go, oh man, life's great. And, I'll let the kids do this or that. And then you don't realize that there's fucking sleazeballs out there. And it's happening a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. So, no, I get it, Rick. And I don't know what side of the fence you were on that. But that's a tough one. And hopefully you've known the parents enough and been around the parents enough to go, okay, I've spent enough time with them to establish that they are, and usually that's a reflection with their kids.
That we that we parent, even just beyond sleazeball, but that we parent the same way, right? That we would handle a situation the same way.
Oh, any other questions, Brian? Did you think of one?
I just thought maybe people might like to hear, like, for Simple Man, that was such a long journey to Simple Man. And I know being there, it was like a very emotional thing to be in this huge theater and reach that point with that Netflix special. And it meant so much to you and Renae. And maybe just talk to the people about how that night, the emotions and the feelings of that night was like a culmination of so much hard work and family.
It not only that, but my day-to-day life.
So do you want to repeat the question?
I think people heard.
Yeah.
I think people heard. The journey to Simple Man and how emotional that was for us. It is. This whole career has been emotional. I mean, every day I'm emotional. Every day I feel like I'm in a fight. You know, every day I feel like, you know, and I don't know if I've said it on this podcast before, but, you know, I've never been given anything. I've never been, you know, bang, here's your Netflix special. I remember I had an agent tell me, you know, he was like, God, you're hilarious. He goes, why don't you have a special? And I go, well, I'm trying to save money to record one. He goes, why? He goes, they'll just give you money. I'm like, not to me. You know, so the Netflix special was very emotional, and it was a deal where it was like, well, for the first time, I didn't have to come out of pocket. And guess what? I still did.
Yeah.
Netflix didn't give us enough money to film that special. And I still came out of pocket.
Yeah.
And I still had to pay for it, and I'm still paying for it. So I think the biggest frustration there, Brian, is that the reason I get emotional is because people's perception of, oh my God, life must be great and you've made it. No, it's so fragile. It's so fragile. Not only is it fragile, I'm yet to have an offer from somebody else. You know, and that's why I get so emotional, because again, I'm in a fight. Again, I'm having to prove myself. Again, I delivered a special that was not a Netflix original. They gave us some money to film it, yes. We did put it on Netflix, yes.
It did live at number 2 for several days and stayed in the top 10. Like, I just want to reiterate that, because your special performed really, really well. And
right.
It's thanks to the people watching this who come to your live shows. Like, they showed up.
And that's why it's emotional. It's emotional because, God dang, even if I prove, even if I put the numbers, even if I'm number 2 on Netflix and stayed in the top 10 for over 2 months. I stayed in the top 10 for over 2 months. There's a comedian, and I know how much he got paid, that is out. He came out 2 weeks ago. I know how much he got paid for his special. He made stupid fucking money on his special. He has not entered the top 10 at all, and made stupid money from Netflix. You know, and here I am going, that's why I was so emotional, because we fought so hard and we did our own thing, and then all of a sudden we got to the point where where I can go, fuck you, let me prove it. Thank you for the money, Netflix. Put it on Netflix. Let me show you what I can do, so then you can then turn around and pay me. Hasn't happened.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened. Like, it's heartbreaking. So then, if and when it happens, I'm going to be fucking emotional again. I'm going to be emotional again, because I'm going to go, God, finally. Right? And I guarantee you, it's going to be another snub. It's going to be another, oh, we'll do that again. Here's the same money. And it's heartbreaking, because then it's going to be a scrap again. You know? And then to go, like, this weekend we're going to Canada. Fucking Canada. Right? We're doing Ottawa. Already sold out.
Yeah.
We're doing Montreal. Already sold out. We're doing Halifax. We got about 30% of the tickets left. Today's Tuesday. It'll sell out. And when I hear all the time, oh, Steve's a Texas comedian. Steve's a regional comedian. Steve is Southwest. Okay, why am I going to Canada? To prove to you people that I am nationwide. I'm worldwide.
Yeah.
I'm nationwide. I'm worldwide.
Speaking of, can we take this opportunity? Can we share? I don't think we talked about it on the podcast.
We're going to Europe.
We're going to Europe in June. If you know anyone in Oslo, Copenhagen, where's Amsterdam, London, there's another city in there.
So just so people know, To me, that's the last obstacle. Every time they bring me an obstacle, I hit it. Every time they say, well, you don't have a special, we don't know who you are. Boom, here's a special. Well, you don't have social media numbers. Okay, here's social media numbers. Well, you're just a regional act. Okay, I sold out Canada. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go sell out Europe. When does it stop? When does the proving myself stop? And I can get a fucking national commercial, a spokesperson, a movie, a TV show. Yeah. In Cincinnati, I said, any questions? And some guy goes, how are you not the biggest star? How come you're not in movies? I go, that's a good question. I would love to know that answer.
Yeah.
Because I'm selling out everywhere. I am top 10 Netflix. 4 or 5 million social media followers. I've gone viral twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have that answer.
Yeah.
So it's always emotional, Brian, because it's such a scrap and it's such a fight. However, which is interesting, I train jiu-jitsu 2, sometimes 3 days a week, right? And I absolutely love it. There's so much I have gained from jiu-jitsu. Discipline, hard work, the ability to fuck people up, my relationships. I mean, there's been so much that I have gained from it. But it was interesting because there's a guy I train with, and he's below me in skills and in his belt, right? And when I work with him, and he's also about 50 pounds heavier, and not fat, solid muscle, and he's about 6 inches taller than me. I'm always on defense. I like to work on my defense, right? I always think to myself, I'm gonna let him get in the offensive position, and I'm gonna work out of that defensive position to then get in an offensive position, right? The other day, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I thought to myself, not only am I not gonna get in a defensive position, I'm gonna stay in an offensive position, and I'm gonna try to tap him as fast as I can. So I did. And I tapped him within a couple of minutes, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Which, by the way, people go, oh, 2 minutes, 2 minutes is still a long time when you're fighting with another human.
Yeah.
But I tapped him. Here's the crazy part about my personality. It wasn't rewarding to me. I didn't enjoy...
You're a scrapper.
I don't want to say dominating.
You're a scrapper. You know that about yourself.
But I just love the fight. And and maybe that's because I'm so used to fighting that when I do get that win, it feels so much sweeter.
I don't know.
Does that make sense, Rick?
Maybe there's some secret shit happening here and you need to train your brain to think the other way. Maybe you keep yourself in the scrapper.
But I've scrapped my whole life.
Yeah.
You know?
What did Rick say? I want to know Rick's thought.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. And I think you have to have that mentality. And that's why you've succeeded for so long.
Because the scrap doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Right? I get fulfilled fighting, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I believe in hard work and I believe in the American dream. Because I had zero help. You know, I did this literally with zero help from my parents. My parents did not pay my cell phone bill. My parents didn't pay my car insurance. My parents didn't pay for my car. My parents didn't buy me furniture for my apartment. My parents didn't put a deposit down for my apartment. I literally have done this since I was 18 years old with $0. Zero. Not a, hey, mom, can you help me? Hey, dad, can you help me with my car insurance? Hey, well, can you at least help me with my cell phone bill? I know grown men that are 40-something years old, they're still on mom and dad's cell phone bill. I had zero.
Yeah.
Never needed government assistance. Never needed to beg or to ask. I had zero. So it can be done. And I worked my ass off. I waited tables. I bartended. I was a bouncer. I laid hot asphalt. I roofed houses. I built houses. I painted. I mean, you fucking name it. I did it.
Yeah.
You know, so this idea of, oh, poor me, you know, the boomers had it so much better, and the boomers this and the boomers that. Motherfucker, go to work, dude. Get your ass to work. I'm not making enough money at my job. Well, what are you doing with the rest of your time? You can't bartend at night? You can't wait tables at night? You can't pick up a night job? Make it happen.
Yeah.
Work your ass off. Do it. You know, so when I have those victories, Brian, they are emotional because I fought my ass off. Because I've taken what God gave me, which was not a lot of intellect, but he did teach me how to work. My dad taught me how to work hard, and I have that ability. And I just keep doing it. And I keep it. And again, like we said earlier, I'm adapting. I'm changing. I'm watching. I'm saying, well, that works. I need to do this. I need to do that, right? So, you know, I talked to my agents and managers the other day, and I said, guys, don't pussyfoot. What's up? What are we doing? I go, because if Netflix doesn't want to give me one, or Amazon Prime, or Hulu, or any of these guys, if they don't want to give me one, I need to know now so we can go figure this out, because I'm going to figure it out. Because I'm going to do it again. Because I'm going to survive. Because I'm going to fucking fight. And I'm going to make it happen. So when it happens, you know, I would like, you know, what I'm owed and what I deserve. I would like it, and I deserve it, and I want it, because I've been doing this shit for 25 years, busting my ass, not asking for a dime. Me and Renae producing, directing, doing this shit together with you know, Rick, you've been such a blessing. Brian's been such a blessing, you know, but we all work our asses off, right? I mean, Rick sold his company and he's still hanging out with us, you know, doing a freaking slumming it over here with our podcast with Timmy, the worst fucking technical guy in the book over here. Last question, and we got to wrap it up.
Oh, I'm good.
It was fun, man.
Don't mind.
We're missing Pick Cherries.
Yes.
Brand new merch. We got brand new merch. We got a shirt that says Family Man on it for the family men out there, and we've got a superhero Captain Evil shirt that we got out there.
And SteveTrevino.com for tour dates.
Yep, SteveTrevino.com.
You are on tour every weekend.
For tour dates. And the only thing I ask from all of you is thank you. We appreciate you. And again, this doesn't happen without you guys. This does not happen without your help. It doesn't happen without you guys telling people about us. So, you know, when you're at the water cooler at work, tell people about us. Share our videos. Our Instagram is whatever's happening. We're growing at about 1,000 new followers a day.
Yeah.
I talked to Mike Universal, who's helping us with our social media. And Mike goes, at this pace, you'll be at 1 million followers on Instagram in no time. So I'm very, very excited. Hey, will you go talk to James? He just pulled up. Very, very excited. I'm very enthused. And again, but there's also a great feeling of I had nobody to answer to.
Yeah.
I didn't beg. I didn't kiss ass. Right? I didn't play the quote unquote game that feels immoral. I didn't have to go to a Diddy party. You know, that's real. That's fucking real.
Yeah.
There's some people that went to these parties and thought to themselves, I got to do this for my career. I never had to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I never had to lie to people. I never had to tell people that they were funny or great or, you know, I did my thing. You know, and one day we'll get into it, but early on in my career, you know, I had the trust, and I believed in somebody else, and they fucking burned me hard. And after that, it was, all right, no more of that. I can't trust these people, these Hollywood people. I'm going to go do it on my own. And here we are. And I'm proud of us.
Yeah.
I'm proud of me and you. I'm proud that you're dressed like a kindergarten teacher. Now, what would be really impressive if you actually knitted that shit?
Nope.
All right, we got to go. You guys are wonderful. Thank you for giving us our career. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for the support. Thank you all, because truly, You are part of this family, and you're the ones that keep this going. Comment, share, like.